Hey boys, how you doing? Hey, sorry I couldn't be with you there today. It ended up that I had to work, so I have to do a course today. It's the only day I could do it, so really sorry that I couldn't be with you here. But listen, I wanted to just give you maybe 5 minutes, just of a bit of a heads up. What I was maybe going to talk a little bit about today, and just give you maybe a heads up for something possibly that we may be exploring further in the fall, by way of small groups or maybe more in men's breakfast. But anyways, as you know or may not know, I'm a math and science teacher, and in the last number of years I've been exploring deeply philosophical reasons to believe in God, and how can math and how can science reaffirm my long-held, deeply religious belief in God. And so it's been really eye-opening, and there's a lot of things that I've read about and uncovered that have strengthened my faith. To be honest with you, math has strengthened my faith more than anything else in the last few years, and I'm just so excited about it. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my journey and about how you can maybe view this and help to share with your friends that are having trouble with this. So first of all, some of the things that I learned were that science and God have not always been incompatible ideas. It was never this way at the beginning. In fact, the rational basis for the universe and the belief that we could actually understand it with our mind, that the universe concepts and our mental constructs are actually connected, and the fact that we are fallible human beings drove scientists to explore and to test very carefully observational ideas about nature. And this was the rise of science as we know it today. So the belief that there was a God who created the universe, who also created our brain to connect with concepts in the universe, and by the way, did it with math constructs to build the constants and how the universe is described and how it works. And all of that converges in our brains that we can actually physically understand that. Very, very cool. The chance that the world would, by chance, pop into existence uncreated out of nothing with a very mathematical, sort of word-based intrinsic nature, and that our brains would also randomly come together and have the key to unlock this rational mathematical basis is beyond comprehension. The best way to explain this would be that God created the universe, God created our brain, they work together. So this science of conflict and religion is a more recent idea. And, I will talk a little bit more about, why that was or how that came to be. The fact that the church was very powerful and opposing ideas was not something that was readily accepted. Whether they were true or not wasn't as important as maybe the attack on the power structure of the church. So that's where you hear about the Galileo, right? Oh, Galileo was a man of science. No, Galileo was deeply religious, and he was firmly committed that God had created this universe and he wanted to explore it. But his ideas went against the teachings of the church. That was the bigger deal. But now it's science versus God. It wasn't Galileo's search for God in the universe versus the church's long-held doctrinal dogma. It wasn't that. It was science versus God. That's the way we see it now, and that's the way we're told. So, let me just skip ahead. Sorry, I made some notes here, but I don't want to talk all day. I just keep talking and talking and talking. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, or possibly will in the fall. The other thing is this: a lot of people have said to me over the past, and my own thoughts have been somewhere along the line of, how can I prove that God exists? People would say, well, you can't prove God exists. So why do you believe in God? Well, the fact is that we actually don't rely on 100% proof for anything in our life. Like really nothing, if you think about it. How can you prove 100% that I'm Jeff Maxwell and that I recorded this video for you? You can't. There is a measure of faith that you need to believe that this is the guy that you recognize from the men's breakfast, and that I'm actually speaking to you now from my own thoughts, that this is not some computer AI generated deal, and it's not. Okay. So nothing is 100% provable in our own existence. I mean, the only 100% proofs that we can actually rely upon are mathematical proofs. I can prove to you that the square root of x squared is x. I can prove to you that any even number is written in the form of 2n plus Well, 2n, just 2n. An odd number is 2n plus 1. So those are mathematical things that we can work through, and we can have conclusive proof that this is true everywhere at all time in the universe. But for most things, we have to reason what is the best explanatory power for what we see and what we observe. What is the best explanation? And when we think about God's existence, there are a lot of clues that point us to an all-powerful, almighty, spaceless, timeless, immaterial creator of the universe. And there are formal philosophical arguments that I've read through and worked through that kind of display this argument beautifully. And you don't need to invoke biblical principles or the Word of God in order to prove God's existence. Now, obviously, that's the best word that we have. And the Bible, over the decades, last 100 years, has been proved to be true with all of our scientific discoveries, which that's another topic that maybe we can get into. But we have to measure and assess competing hypotheses for what we see and understand in the universe as to what is the best explanation for this. And I would argue, and through the last few years, I think that there is amazing, solid proof that God is the best example for many things that we witness and see in our existence. So, for example, when talking with an atheistic friend, they may say, listen, you can't prove that God exists. I don't believe in the metaphysical. I don't believe in anything outside of the physical. But there are at least six, I've got 6 here, there are 6 miracles that every atheist believes in, and yet they do not believe in a miracle worker. These miracles aren't a problem for us who know and understand that God is the creator of the universe. But for atheists, this is a real problem for them, and people don't really think deeply about this, I don't think. So 6 miracles, and this is just, I'll end with this. 6 miracles that atheists believe. Okay? Believing in the miraculous is right and good for a Christian to believe in, because we have a metaphysical, outside of our physical existence, God who created everything. The Bible tells us so. The very first verse, I don't know if you've read Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Okay? There was God before there was anything else. But 6 miracles that atheists believe. 1, existence comes from non-existence. Atheists literally believe that everything that we see and witness and hear popped into existence magically out of nothing, for no reason, by no cause. That's a miracle. Existence comes from non-existence. 2, order comes from chaos. The order that we see in nature and in our own bodies, that order has come from the beginning, which was a big bang. Okay? So nothing exploded into a cosmic explosive mess, but order has come out of this chaos. The origin of order is chaos. Miracle. That's a miracle. 3, life from non-life. No one has ever witnessed life coming from non-life. Inorganic chemicals, even organic carbon. I mean, life is hard to define even. Scientists can't even define what life is. Philosophers can't even define what life is, what makes a thing living, our consciousness. But life has to have come from non-life. Okay? Not only from nothing, but the things that popped into existence magically out of nothing created living sentient beings. Number 4, the personal, so a personality comes from the impersonal. Okay? Just from brute elements, just the raw elements, say, personality has emerged. I'm not sure exactly when it was that a rock started seriously considering the well-being of other rocks, but this is literally the miracle that all atheists believe. They have no explanation for it. Number 5, reason comes from non-reason. The fact that we can rationally think about these things has come from non-reason. The origin of our rational thought is irrational. A miracle. And number 6, finally, morality comes from matter. I'm not saying that atheists can't be moral beings, moral people. They don't have morals. But that the source of our morality has come from matter alone. Again, when did a rock start caring about other rocks? This is a miracle. There is no connection there. And what I keep running up into over and over again is that the champion of the scientific method, the champion of science, what they cling to is that, we don't know, and we're admitting we don't know. But we will find an answer someday. We will find an answer, and that answer cannot and will not end in God. God will not be a part of it. This is what science says. And so when you say, I believe that these miracles that we're talking about, that we all believe in, I believe that God is responsible for these miracles, they will say, just because you don't understand, you don't want to use your mind, you don't want to do the hard work, so you just posit a God. That's a God of the gaps argument. Well, God is actually the best explanation for the miracles that we see. So there's a lot more. I have a lot more that I'm thinking and that I've worked through. Hopefully that's enough. I didn't bore you too much. But I can't make any promises for the fall, but we might have some kind of small group. We might have a series in our men's breakfast that's centered on this. So if this is something you're interested in, please let the leadership know. And something might be coming in the fall. So God bless you. Sorry I couldn't be there today. I hope you have a great rest of your men's breakfast. God bless.